Hey everybody, welcome back to Age of Empires Online. I'm Zopyrus, and today we are gonna continue with the talk about the advisors. Today it's gonna be the Age 3 advisors, or Silver Age as you want. But before I start, I'm gonna say I am gonna exclude the advisors that give you units to train at the fortress. I think those deserve something more, some more specific video, because every unit is unique in some way and I would have to talk about all those units. So instead I'll talk about those some other time, but I'm gonna talk about about the advisor units in general, what I think about them in this video. So hope you're ready. Let's get started with the Silver Age advisors, and the number one here is Blacksmith Kosmas. Ranged units are able to snare enemy units on attack, slowing them by up to 20%, depending on the rarity of the advisor you have. And honestly, after the winter event with the arrows of the Ice King, which give your units snare, I find the snare a little bit more useful on the ranged units, especially those with long range. So it's actually difficult for the enemy units to get close to your units. If you don't know what snare does, snare is pretty much just slowing the enemy units. Some units might be resilient or even immune to snare, so careful with that. I don't think I necessarily have to pick this advisor, but I think he can be useful. If you are having problem with your ranged units dying, maybe try this guy. He might save you a few units. Slowing them can be great. It might be just a problem the enemy gets too close. Try this one. Slowing them might be good. I don't necessarily pick him at all. I think there are some other advisors that can be useful, but this guy can be good. Next one, Bowmaster Sohrab. Now this has been added in Project Celeste. So if you don't know about this guy, don't bother about that. He was not in the game before the server shutdown. So what this guy does, ranged units deal 50% bonus damage against buildings. Now personally, I don't like using ranged units against buildings, so this already feels kinda bad for me. Why would I use ranged units against buildings? Well, on certain quests you don't get access to siege because of the secondary objective. So this guy kinda offers a solution, but I would not consider him like the best solution for this. I would rather go with infantry or even cavalry maybe. But I think he's still okay, like especially on those saves that have really strong ranged units. So for me, especially the Greeks are a good choice for this advisor, and that's because the Greeks get the Academy upgrade for bonus damage against buildings, so this damage is gonna be even better. So I like it. I like him there, and that's pretty much it. Any other ranged unit, well, they don't get the damage against buildings. Buildings have naturally high pierce armor, so for me it's already pretty bad. But I think Persians can be okay with their long range bowmen. Egyptians with their elephant archers or even chariot archers. Babylonians can be okay. But Babylonians have the sappers, so careful with that. Well, I think that's all. Yeah, I don't think he's good on Celts or Norse. Those two don't really have that great. Actually, wait, with the new legendary advisor for the Celts, you might actually pick this one because the Carpentoms are actually ranged units. So if you grab the new legendary advisor with this guy, your competitors might be okay against buildings. That might be also same thing as with the Greeks. So still pretty good choice there. Definitely don't pick with Norse. Norse are pretty bad. He's okay with me, but again, ranged units versus buildings, not always good idea. Camel Whisperer Hathor. Cavalry units deal 20% bonus damage against siege and ranged units. I kinda like her, especially when you plan to go with cavalry, and you know the enemy is gonna train a lot of ranged units, or even just mainly ranged units. This can be a good option, and if not ranged, then siege. Whatever. Definitely helps with your cavalry, definitely helps your cavalry deal with the enemy backline. I think this can be used. It's more rare, but I think it's good, especially on the cavalry that already has the bonus. Again, the bonus is gonna just go further. So, can be really good. So, more of a situational advisor. I kinda like her, but yeah, a little bit more restricted on this one. Next, Castle Builder Sostrate. Fortress is built in up to 35% less time. So if you like building fortresses and you want to get them up faster, this can be your answer. Maybe you're playing as an Egyptian, you want to get your elephants faster, but your fortress is faster. So yeah, personally I don't really care, because later in the game, once you have like the tools, you can go with pylon H1, so you're gonna save a lot of time there. But fortresses still take a long time to build. The typical fortress, let's say like the Greek one, takes 3 minutes to build for one villager. So 35% less time, that can be a whole minute down. So I think this guy can be useful if you wanna raise your fortresses faster. But yeah, I would say more for of you who like to play defensive fortresses, this can be good choice. But otherwise, I don't really care about this advisor. Now let's move on to the next one. Celestial Magus Mehrab. Priest units heal and convert 20% faster. So this is more of a priest advisor, obviously. So for those of you who like to train priests, this can be your choice. And you can like divide it in two parts. Like either you use your priest to heal your units, which can depend on which civ you're playing as. So let's say you're playing as an Egyptian, but then both parts work for you. The healing part is definitely great on your priestesses of Ra, since that's pretty much all they can do for your units in combat. Can maybe save you few units, so it can be good choice. For the conversion, I think most noticeably the Priest of Ptah, because of the AoE conversion, and also he's got pretty long conversion for this. But in general, if you're planning to go for a lot of priests, whether it's healing, although later you probably it's gonna be more limited on the healing part, so it's gonna be more about the conversion, then it can be a very good choice if you like converting the enemy units. I think the most noticeable ones could be the Persians and the Babylonians, because they already get naturally the lowest conversion rates on their priests. The Persian Magus, also before you get the Magus upgrade for faster conversion at the War Academy, their conversion time is, or conversion rate is 13, which is the highest you can find in the game, especially in Silver Age. So lowering it by 20% is pretty huge, but then they ended up with half of that, so 6.5. So additional 20%. It just means you are gonna have super fast converting magi. And Babylonians, well, they start naturally with the conversion rate of 10, end up with 7.5. So again, can be really fast. Those two cifs definitely gonna go through, but any other cif works as well. I'm just gonna say, if you're planning going for priest, this can be your choice. And oh boy, I'm glad he got nerfed long ago. Actually, when he came up, when they released him, he actually went up to 25%, and I felt like, oh boy, that's so huge. So I'm glad it's 20% now. Okay, let's move on. Commander Bolgios. Fortresses and guard towers cost up to 15% less. I have only read here. So I tried this one just recently. I think it can be useful. Later, there's gonna be one more advisor similar to this one. So this guy got reworked. Obviously, before the rework, he would affect only the fortresses. So pretty much similar thing as the Sostrate, but instead of building time, he would lower the cost. Same numbers, however. Now it's also for guard towers, making him stronger, obviously. Definitely a great choice for defensive players who like to build a lot of towers or fortresses, or if you just want to save the resources early. This can be useful. Now don't forget, we are talking about both wood and stone. So saving some of those can mean you can build more towers, or you can just use your starting resources to build a fortress, add a tower, and then like build a town center as well with this. Can be a good choice. Kinda like him, but I think he's more of a situational. I think for defensive players, good choice. Let's move on. Commander Cassivellaunos. What a weird name. Cavalry units move 10% faster. And well, for cavalry units, cavalry naturally moves very fast, so I don't think this guy is gonna have that huge. Well, the number is gonna be huge. I just don't think it's gonna have that huge impact, actually. Since cavalry naturally moves very fast, they already spend less time traveling than any other unit, so increasing their movement speed can have smaller impact than it actually looks, but it can be still good. I think he can be used, but I always see problem with cavalry that they are easily countered, especially during the legendary quests. And I would say this guy can actually help you a little bit with that. I was experimenting a little bit with the cavalry just recently, and for me it became just completely different strategy all of a sudden. So I think the movement speed can help you a lot, but I would rather use some other advisor because I have some other problems with the cavalry than rather than movement speed. And don't forget, they also get the movement speed from the stables upgrade. So they already get even more movement speed naturally. So I don't find him necessarily or that necessary. Can be used more situational or more about preference. I think this is more about the player. And next, Commander Vercassivellaunos. Infantry units move 10% faster. So same thing, also notice very similar names. So this is about infantry. I like this one more than the cavalry one because infantry naturally starts with movement speed of 6, whereas cavalry starts typically I think 9 or even 10 movement speed. So infantry units are typically much slower, and that's what for my typical strategy where I usually have like the front line of infantry units and I just keep replacing them. This can be more useful so I can get my infantry. Whereas if I had to go with cavalry, that would not be that good because cavalry dies so fast and it takes forever for them to train. I think cavalry calls for different strategy. Infantry, this works. I tried it. Just having front line, replacing it, and the faster they get there, better. So I think movement speed makes more sense to me than the cavalry movement speed. I think this has more usage if you're going for infantry. Can be definitely worth getting. Let's move on. Councilman Onesiphoros. Now this is a very strong advisor. Advancing to Golden Age costs 40% less. Now, 40% less. That's a lot of resources actually. Just think about it. 1000 food, 1000 wood, 1000 gold, 600 stone. That's a lot of resources you have to pay just to reach the Golden Age. And during PvE, you wanna reach the Golden Age, especially during the legendary quests. And reaching it faster means you can also get the economy upgrades at the Golden Age. So definitely worth getting, and you can use the same resources for that, making your economy even stronger. So that means you actually get even more resources over time than any other with this guy. You can get access to your strongest units. So let's say you're playing as Greeks, you want your Gastrophetes as soon as possible. This guy can help you. You want your Ballista, again, this guy can help you, and so on and so on. So definitely strong if you wanna get past Golden Age. You wanna reach Golden Age because why? Because you wanna get the upgrades, you wanna get your strongest units, you wanna get access to the Golden Age advisor. So for me, I find it very strong. If I wanna get the Golden Age as soon as possible, definitely great choice. So let's move on. Cavalry Colonel Pamphilos. Infantry units deal 40% bonus damage against buildings. Now, this guy is more for you who like to build a lot of infantry. I like to build a lot of infantry, but I usually have also great backline with some siege. But namely for Celts and Norse, this guy can be very strong. Since with those two saves, you have to build fortress, you have to go for the stone or log throwers, which are naturally weaker than the Palinton, but also they take less space, so you can have more of those. So this can be a good choice. I like using him, especially when I'm going for like Celts with Wood Raiders, with champions, doesn't matter, both units are great with this guy. Those two units do a lot of damage, just do more damage against buildings, get through the walls even faster. Remember those walls having 40,000 health? They don't stand a chance against champions with this advisor, if you know how to use them. So for me, definitely good choice if you're going for infantry. Definitely can be strong, especially for the infantry civs. So for me, good advisor. Engineer Ligeia. Siege units train in 30% less time. So I actually used this guy once in one of those legendary quests. I used him in Legendary Cataclysm. If you remember, during Legendary Cataclysm, there is a time challenge where you're supposed to destroy a nearby fortress within 4 minutes. Now that is very annoying, because that fortress has almost 30,000 health, just like any other legendary quest. So that's a lot of damage. you have to do. And also remember, fortresses do a lot of damage, and you just started in Bronze Age, so it takes a while to even get to the Silver Age. This guy helped me a lot because I was able to reach the Silver Age. I was able to build the siege workshop, and then I was able to get my ramps out faster because of Engineer Ligeia. Definitely can help you with quests like these. It's more of a situational, depends how many siege units you actually train. I usually go for like ballista and sometimes even the polytunnels. I think polytunnels are a little bit boring because they make quests a lot easier. And don't forget, this actually is not only with Siege Workshop, this actually works with the polytons as well. So you can use him even to get your polytons out faster if you want. For me, typically I go for like ballista, catapults, or the war wagons. So Ligeia for me is not necessarily like completely useful for those units because I try to keep those units alive. So I don't have to train them as often, but he can be good addition. He's more of a, I think he's more about whether you train a lot of siege, namely the ram. So battering rams, siege towers, or even party orders can be a good choice if you wanna get those siege units out faster. But otherwise, I don't think he's completely necessary. If you don't train that much siege, don't even bother with this guy. So more of a situational. Explorer Pytheas. All ships cost 15% less. Now obviously ships, so water maps, definitely strong. 15%, that's a lot of resources when you realize that ships cost like over 100 wood, they cost like 100 gold, so that can be a lot of resources saved. I'm not gonna bother with the guy that much right now, but pretty much water maps, cheaper ships, save resources. So this is more about numbers of your ships rather than the strength of ships. I think he's good. If you need for water maps, this can be good. It's more about quantity than quality. Okay, General Ahapitep. So this is one of the advices you can get in Skirmish. And what he does, priest units train in 25% less time and cost 25% less. Now typical priests cost 100 gold. There are a few exceptions obviously, but the typical priest costs 100 gold. So the cost typically goes down to 75 gold and also less time training. I believe normally they take 20 seconds to train, so 25% less time, that goes down to 15 seconds. So if you like to mass priest, maybe you are an Egyptian, instead of like using Mehrab for the strength, you would rather go with the quantity again, with the quantity. So again, you wanna go priest. Ahapitep can be also a choice. He goes with the numbers, whereas Mehrab goes with the strength of the priest. So pretty much similar usage. General Batoshipip. Ships have 25% more health. This advisor you can also get in Skirmish. This is more again about the water maps, so it's similar with Pytheas. And making your ship stronger, I think this has biggest impact on the fire ships, because fire ships with the champion upgrade they get bonus damage resistance, so fire ships are naturally tough units and they also need to get close. Similar thing with ram ships depending on which ship you're playing as. So in my opinion this is more about those fire ships, ram ships. Make them tougher, make them take more damage before they go down, protecting your backline of trirams or manga, trirams or galleys or whatever you're using. Yeah, fire ships, ram ships. I think it's pretty much the same thing with Pytheas. This is more of a quality, improve your tanky ships further. Moving on, we got the good sailor Ammon. Ships can attack and see 20% farther. So this is pretty much the same thing as with Batoshipip, but this is about your backline ships. So this is actually about the trirams, catapult trirams, ballista trirams, galleys, dragon ships, whatever ship you're playing as again. So ships can attack sea, keep them safe. This also affects fire ships, don't forget about that. Fire ships can attack from further as well. I don't think this affects the ram ships that much, if at all. So yeah, it can help you even with bombarding the islands with your ballista trams. So definitely strong advisor for that. It's pretty much the same thing, but it's for the backline of the ships, not the fire ships or ram ships, making them tougher. So I think between these three, it's about the preference of the player. Do you want the quantity? Do you want better fire ships? Do you want better, I don't know, trirams? It's player's choice. Now let's move on. Irrigation Specialist Sophia. Villagers gather food 12% faster from farms. Now personally I like this advisor because she can help me a lot with the food, especially when I go some heavy food intense units such as cavalry, Egyptian elephants, maybe even some infantry units. This can be a good choice, help your villagers get the food, get even some additional food that you might sell for gold, or even buy some other resources depending what you need for the market. Definitely, I think this is very good advisor, definitely can help me. I've been using her lately with the cavalry, especially when I put the gloves, the gauntlets, like Master Assassin gauntlets, on the cavalry. The most biggest issue with that is that the cavalry all of a sudden costs a lot of resources, so I need to support it with my advisors so I can get actually the resources. Otherwise it's like I need a lot of villagers, a lot of caravans to be able to get my cavalry out. They just cost a lot of resources, and also they can die very easily, so careful with that. I can recommend her. I think she's good, she can help you. It's like a free farming upgrade at Silver Age, only using the advisor slot. So definitely can be useful. Lord Viriathos, and we are almost at the end. So Lord Viriathos, all units are up to 50% more resistant to conversion. This advisor is more situational advisor. I think he can be used, but only during the quest where I know I'm going against priests. And not even like, I think like Mormon medians, there are pre-placed priests, so he can be used there. But I would say more against quests like Battle of Opus, because I know the enemy just keeps spamming the priests, so I know I'll be fighting priests all the time. So instead of like these small skirmishes against just a group of pre-placed priests, I would rather use it against like the streams of priests. Can be useful. He can protect my very expensive units, let's say like for Norse, let's say the Berserkers, definitely. This can be a good advisor. Can be good choice, but it's very situational, for me at least. Okay, now we have advisor unit. I'll get to the other advisor units soon. So let's move on. Senior Mason Stephanos. Town centers, guard towers, and fortresses cost 30% less stone. So it's pretty much the similar thing with Bolgios, but this is only about stone. You save more stone than with Bolgios, and also this applies on town centers. I would say this is more for players where I would say where the stone is more limited than the wood, if wood is limited at all. I think you're limited on stone. You wanna play defensively. You wanna save a lot of stone or utilize as much stone as possible. I think it's gonna be good. Again, I would say for defensive players, saving the stone can be a good choice. I don't really care, but I think he's okay. I think he is at the same level with Bolgios, just you want the stone. And the last one is again also advisor unit. So now let's talk about the advisor units. Personally, I like advisor units. So now that I'm with Greeks, you can see like Greeks have 3 Silver Age advisors, and then 2 additional in Golden Age. For me, advisor units are very good until like, let's say, level 30. Until level 30, if you can get advisor units, but you have probably the most OP units at the time. Some of them are very strong, they are easy to spam, you just need the resources. And for me, I like them personally. I think they are strong, they can be used. Now after level 30, you can start feeling that they are actually like getting weaker and they are no longer gonna be like, feeling that strong. But still good, they're gonna be still good. And once you reach level 40, I think you can still go with them. But if you're playing like legendary quests a lot, I think the advisor units are gonna be very... You will pretty much not use them that much, if at all. I sometimes use them, but it's like on so rare occasions that you won't pretty much see them at all. It's just advisor units pretty much are strong, but once you reach level 40, you start getting the gear. Pretty much you can replace them, literally replace them with some other unit. So if you want example, I think Somatophylax can be replaced with Hoplite. Somatophylax is pretty much just heavier Hoplite for me that you train at the fortress. It's literally heavy Hoplite. Phalanx, that's literally just a different version of Spearman. So once you're 40, you get the gear. Spearman does the same job, maybe even better. Well, not completely better, but I would say it's definitely gonna be different. And Pesatyroi, well, that's just lighter version of Hippaspist, literally. Okay, now I'm gonna move on to some other civ. Okay, so I moved to the Egypt capital. So before I continue, I have to say Greeks and Celts, if we exclude the advisor units, they don't have any Silver Age civ specific advisors, only those 2 civs. But now let's continue. So for the Egyptian, we have only one, that's Tawaret's Sandalmaker. Infantry and priest units move 15% faster. Now, this can be very good with combination of the new legendary advisor, Sobek Spear Sharpener, who also increases the movement speed by 25%. So yeah, your infantry can all of a sudden become so fast. It's incredible. Even Celts don't have that speed, and World Raiders barely get that. So yeah, you get that. For priests, even your priestesses of Ra can keep up with your infantry, and since priests get also the movement speed upgrade at the Temple of Set, yeah, this can be a good choice. Definitely worth if you're going mainly for the infantry as Egyptian. With the new legendary advisor, I think it's very possible to go for infantry. I think this is very strong advisor. Just don't forget to add some backline. It's like chariot archers, elephant archers, or catapults. Just make sure you grab this one because making the unit tougher with the training time and movement speed. And then you add this one, it's even faster. There's this super speed infantry. I think it's good advisor. I think she can be used very well with combination, and even if you don't have a getting your infantry fast to battlefield can be really nice. And even if you're not going about infantry, then for your priest units, it's a good choice. Okay, moving on to the Persian advisors, some specific ones. So first one, Princess Tahmineh. Caravans carry 30% more gold. Now be careful with the wording. Caravans carry 30% more gold. There are two words for caravans like this: trade and carry. Trade means they get more gold per let's say route, whereas caravans carry more gold means you actually increase the capacity, or I should say the maximum number of gold you can get from one route. So this advisor can be useful only if you can go over 150 gold from one route for your caravans. Now if you're going for PvE solo, this advisor pretty much never gets used. How often do you actually reach even the 150 gold? It's so rare, you just don't see it that much, if at all. Now, few occasions it can happen. So this one is gonna be very limited on the usage. Just not worth. You will never get the gold pretty much. But if you are going for co-op, that's a different story. I've just recently recorded a video, and pretty much if you have an ally, you actually get more gold from the trade when you're trading with your ally. Actually, somewhere I've read it's actually like 50% more gold from the trade. So this advisor can be used during co-op, not solo. During co-op, it's easier to get the 150 gold limit. All you have to do is reach like the normally like 100 gold. You'll get like normally where you would get 100 gold. When you do that with ally, you get all of a sudden 150. If you have this advisor and get the trade upgrade at the Golden Age, or even use like the Golden Age advisor for better trade, you get all of a sudden so much gold. Now, namely as Persian, who needs a lot of gold, this can be useful. So, very limited on the co-op. So if you're going for her solo, you pretty much never use her. If you're going co-op, can be very strong advisor. This can be very strong advisor in co-op. Save gives you a lot of gold. You can use a lot of gold. Gold for those gold expensive units like Carafrax. Or even you don't actually need that many caravans all of a sudden. This can be useful during co-op. Don't do it solo. Let's move on. Royal Companion Rohham. Immortals train in 20% less time and have 20% more health. Personally, I am not a huge Persian player, like I don't really like Persians. But I think this can be really good advisor if you're going for Immortals mainly. You keep them more alive, and Immortals get a lot of health. From what I've seen, they get a lot of health. And with this advisor, you make them even tougher. And not only that, you actually make them train in 20% less time. So not only that they are harder to kill, you can even replace them faster. So I think this can be very good advisor if you're going for Immortals. If you're not going Immortals, don't pick him, obviously. But yeah, I think this can be very good advisor. But like I said, I'm not a Persian player, so I don't play Persians that much. So those of you who play Persians are gonna have better experience with this than I have. Now let's move on to the Norse. Okay, first one, Axe Thrower Agvald. Throwing axemen can attack and see 35% farther. And this can be good if you like going for throwing axemen. I think throwing axemen are a very good unit and definitely have their usage. I don't know about you, I like throwing axemen, but yeah, for me they're a little bit different on usage than like typical anti-infantry unit. So attack and see 35% farther. Throwing axeman has actually a range of 10, so for them the attack range is not gonna grow that huge. For me, I see it as more of a I can have more lines of throwing axemen attacking at once from greater distance, obviously. So if you have a lot of throwing axemen, it can be good choice. See further, I don't really care about that part. Who cares about that? Once you have long line of sight on your watch post, who cares? So yeah, the range can be useful. I would say this can be good only if you truly go for a lot of throwing axemen. Otherwise, I don't really care about him. Like, I don't see him like giving me that much strength or anything. He can be used, but I don't see him really that strong. And the second one, oh, I forgot to mention, Persians get only 2 specific advisors. Norse also get 2, and Babylonians also get 2 specific ones. So the second one for Norse is Arjar Commander Havard? Howard, yeah. Arjars are 35% more resistant to pierce damage and construct buildings 40% faster. This guy actually got buffed, and he went from 25% more resistant to pierce damage to 35%. Personally, I think it's a little bit overkill with that. I personally feel like why would he even need this buff? But okay. Well, Hajas are naturally, they already have some pierce armor naturally, so giving them even more makes them super tanks, in my opinion. Building, constructing buildings 40% faster. This can be very good if you want to get your whole bases faster. If you want to get them faster. If you are actually training Hajas, I don't even know what you're training, right? I mean, Hajar for me is definitely great tanking unit that can tank a lot of infantry, some pierce damage. This just adds the pierce damage resilience. So Hajars, very tanky units. They get countered easily by crush damage, so ballista, catapults, or cavalry. So beware the lancers. Otherwise, I think this guy just make your archers tougher. I think that's already very good. Buildings faster fort bases. Why not, right? This can be very good. So more situational for me if I go for archers at all. I usually not some, but then you just end up with like berserkers most of the time. So I don't think you necessarily need this guy, but I think he is a good choice. And now let's move on to the last, the Babylonians. So Gardener Gerda. Gardens provide an additional 1 food per second. And personally, I think this is very good way to improve your economy. Even better than the Sophia for farming, faster farming. And reason very simple. Babylonians get only the first farming upgrade, like I said in with the H1 outriders. So Babylonians get only the first farming upgrade, which makes them very weak farmers late game. But they also get another food source, and that's their gardens. Gardens, if I'm not mistaken, they give zero point 0.5 food per second naturally. Then you grab the silver age upgrade for additional 0.5, and then you also have this advisor. So this advisor helps with your food economy. I think she's very good and helps Babylonians with the weak farms. I think this can be a good choice. Don't forget, you're getting like, if I'm not mistaken, 12 farms. Yeah, it's 4 per age starting at Bronze Age. Yeah. So it's 12 farms. So getting additional 12 food per second can be huge. I like her. I use her when I know I'm just going for a lot of food intense units. And the last advisor, Governor Okay, I was always reading like Zopyrus, but Zopyrus? Zopyrus? I don't know. Sappers are 40% more resistant to pierce damage and move 12% faster. Personally, I don't like this advisor. I don't like this advisor, not really about the movement speed part, rather about the pierce damage resistance. And I have pretty simple reasoning for that. Babylonians have already 2 high resistant or pierce, or 2 units that are highly resistant to pierce damage. The shield bearers and siege towers. So my question is, why would I even want this advisor when I can literally make the enemy units focus on the siege towers, on the shield bearers, right? But obviously if I was playing PvP, then this would be definitely more useful, since players can micro and tell the defensive buildings and the ranged units what to attack. But in PvE, I think this is kind of waste. I would rather let the enemy focus my siege towers than the sappers. And also, I can load the sappers into the siege towers, and once the siege tower is close enough, soaking all the defensive buildings, I can just unload the sappers and just let them attack the buildings. Movement speed, I don't really care. Can be useful, but I guess that depends. I don't think you're gonna use sappers mainly as a tanking unit, because why would I do that? I don't like this guy. I think even the Pamphilos for the bonus damage against buildings is much better, since sappers have damage against buildings. So that would be much better choice in my opinion than this guy. I don't like this guy personally. This is like the worst Silver Age advisor for me. The pierce damage resistance, okay, they get it, but I have like 2 other units that I can train instead to get the pierce damage resistance. Why would I need this on like the third unit? Why? Like, why? Movement speed. That's like the only okay part. Why? But only on ciphers. Well, ooh, I don't even want like keep replacing. Like it's not the unit I would use to like use as a front line. Like what would be the reason? Yeah, personally, this guy, seriously, no more Silver Age I can think of, in my opinion. But you might disagree with me. So if you think I said something wrong, you think I have like some wrong ideas about certain advisors, just leave a comment. I think there are some nice advisors, there are some good advisors, and then there is Zopyrus. Okay, thank you very much so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, press the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to get notified. And yeah, leave your opinions and any comments just in the comment section. Yeah, next time I'm gonna go for the Golden Age advisors, and also this week I'm gonna start uploading, or it's already uploaded, just making it accessible to you. I've done the Athens basic questline, so if you wanna watch that, it's more of it for players who haven't done that. I have some advices or if the players just wanna watch like what the quests are like. If I remember correctly, there's soon gonna be a patch. Also, there's been some new information about the new quest pack. It was just mainly like hero units, the way they look. If you wanna take a look at the forums, but I think you'll see it in the quest. I don't think it's completely necessary. You need to put the link in the description. And yeah, pretty much next week, Golden Age Advisors. This week I'm starting uploading the Athens basic questline. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!